Hey, welcome back to the UPRAWR Podcast. Today's guest is Alyx Holcombe. We talk about how she got started in radio, how she got a job at Kerrang, and how she got a job at Radio 1. We talk about how radio can influence a band's career and how you can move from C-list to A-list. So let's get into it. I guess then the first question is, how did you get into the industry and how did you get started?
How long have you got? In short, I was in a punk band, like an underground punk band, and I was like just so pissed off that no one like represented us on radio. You had to get like the pluggers, you had to get the management just to like put your foot in the door. So I was like, right, I'm just going to stop playing in a punk band now and I'm going to make essentially a pirate radio station in my room. And I taught myself how to present, how to produce. I literally had no idea. When I tell you honestly, I'll dig up one of the first radio shows I did. It was absolute pony, like disgusting. And then basically after that, I just pestered people so hard to the point where I was so insufferable just to give me a chance. And it was Alex Baker from Kerrang Radio that actually put my demo in front of Kerrang, and then was on Kerrang for a little bit and kept applying for Radio 1 for 3 years at the same time because they do like the Christmas cover thing. And then I finally got to cover Daniel P. Carter, and then Kerrang offered me a job. I pitched my little small show promoting punk bands to Radio 1, and that kind of, the synergy aligned.
That brings us to today.
Yeah.
So what was that like then when Alex gave you that first sort of job? What did that entail and how did that sort of actually happen? Was it literally just like you've emailed him out of the blue and he's got no idea who you are? Or
I was even worse than that. So there was a thing called BBC Introducing Live, and it's just like a massive event essentially where bands go and they can talk to like people that can help them and listen to their music. And I heard that Alex Baker was on one of the panels. So I got a ticket and queued up to meet him, which he loves to tell that story to this day now. And I just waited for about an hour, like behind all these bands. And I was like, look, I'm really sorry. You're the only person that I think is going to understand like what I want to do and why I love these bands so much. He was like, oh, right, just email me. And I was like, I emailed him like 3-4 times. I was like, hello. And then he just forwarded my demo to the head of Kerrang Radio, Rick. And he was like, yeah, you're great. We've not really got any space for you though, so I'll keep you in mind. I was like, okay. And the day I was moving, yeah, do you want to cover the evening show? All right. So I was actually under a blanket in the corner of my room with a Argos microphone recording my first ever show on Kerrang, so I could do it.
That's amazing. So, I mean, with your demo, what was that? What was that? Like, how did it sound and how did it look?
Terrible, I can tell you that much. It's basically a demo. Pretty much every single radio presenter has to have one. It's pretty much 3 to 5 minutes of your best work. So you stick in like an interview in there, you being really excited about a band, all that kind of stuff. And it was done on an Argos microphone. So the quality wasn't quite there, but my enthusiasm shone through apparently. So it doesn't matter about the quality is the one thing I'd always say to people. You can have rubbish quality, but if your enthusiasm's there.
You know what? This is a totally separate thing, but exactly the same point. I listened to, what's the book called? It's called That'll Never Work. And it's the story of Netflix and the guy that came up with the idea of Netflix and how he founded it, how it grew. And he said the biggest thing that he realized in the early years of Netflix was constantly, as much as they were doing different tests. And he said to start off with, they put in huge amounts of time and effort into making the test perfect. So they'd like get all the copy perfect, they'd get great images, they'd have really nice everything, and it would be perfect. And they'd put it out and it'd flop. And they'd go, fuck, I just spent 3 months working on that, it was pointless. So we have to speed it up. So it was like, they got a test to be in like 1 month, and then they realised that they'd just wasted a month on that test because it was shit. And he said they got to the point where they were actually doing 3 tests a day, and they were awful in terms of how it was put together. It was like there was spelling mistakes, there was poor grammar, the pictures there'd be the wrong picture for the wrong thing. He said, but the thing is, it didn't matter how shit the test was or how good the test was. It either worked or it didn't.
Yeah.
And people either warmed to something or they didn't. So actually he learned that you don't need to make everything fucking perfect. You just need to make sure that actually the quality behind it is there. It's like something that people are interested in. And that actually ties in perfectly to what you're saying, where it's like, it doesn't matter if you've got a good mic. Like actually it's the person that's on the other end of that mic that's going to make it work or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I tell you this demo that I put together, if I find it, I don't even know if I could send it to you because it's going to be so bad. But
Definitely want to hear it.
Yeah. But it's like the same thing, right? If you try and make something perfect, you lose the love of it. Your voice goes monotone. For me anyway, if I have to redo something again and again, I always end up using the first take anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's the most natural. And it's like people don't know on radio when they're listening. They just want to connect to someone. They don't care what volume the bed's at or if your microphone's £2. Like, they don't care. They just want to feel the connection.
When you got that job at Kerrang, like the real job, what was that in terms of like, how did that affect your life?
I was still working a normal job at the same time, which was quite jarring because I was like working for customer services in a bank call centre, right? And I remember I used to break the phones, shout out the bank that everyone knows I worked at. I'm not going to say the name on the podcast, but I used to break the phones to plan my radio demo, and then knowing that was successful and then going back to that place of work and then leaving to do a radio show was really, really weird. It was a lot. I loved it so much, but it also did make me think, oh my gosh, I want to do this properly forever and ever and not work in customer services ever again. So it kind of made me really miserable during the day, but in the evening I absolutely loved it.
So what was you don't need to be specific, but what was the money like working at Kerrang and doing that show?
It was fine if you either lived at home or had another job.
Because people would look at somebody on Kerrang and think, fuck, they fucking made it. Like,
yeah. And it's like with Kerrang, it's not about like the money, it's about the music. With Kerrang, it's about keeping rock alive, right?
Yeah.
So kind of the money aspect comes second. But obviously when you're looking to kind of move out and do all that stuff, you're like, okay, I need to have another job. And then this is going to be my side job. But that's what a lot of people don't realise. In music, in entertainment, we're not all minted. Everyone thinks, oh my God, I'm going to get a job in TV and radio and I'll be able to afford cars and houses. And I'm like, I don't know where you learnt that. Maybe like 30 years ago. But in the day and age now of like streaming services, you're not going to be getting that much. You need to really, really, really care about what you're doing and why you're doing it if you want to enjoy your job.
I mean, that's a reoccurring thing with sort of all aspects of this industry, because we've had managers on that have been managing huge bands and they've said, like, actually the money that you're taking away is extremely minimal. Like, you can't live on it. But also the bands that are playing these massive shows and people would look at and think, they're killing it. They're also having to work day jobs because the band isn't bringing enough. Yeah. So it almost doesn't matter, like, what job you're in, unless you're working at a really high level. Yeah. And the bands are huge. Like, you probably are supplementing that.
Yeah. And no one talks about it either. No one really talks about kind of how not well paid being in music is. And I'd love it in my music lessons in school. That's where I thrive, like music and drama, shocker. But like, if someone said, don't expect to go into music and earn loads of money straight away. It's literally not going to happen. But I feel like it's like a bit of a kept secret, a little bit.
Well, I think there's a bit of a thing where people don't like to talk about money. There's also a thing that if you do well, you sell out. And no one wants to talk about being a sellout. Yeah. So it's like, if you're not making any money, it's sort of seen as like more pure. If you are making money, then you're a sellout. But obviously, like, you need to make money to survive in it. So I think that like, you can't win. So there's like this awkward middle ground where people just sort of don't talk about it because it's shit on both sides. Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, I think it's as shit as you make it. I think if you go in and realising, okay, I'm going to get on the ladder to radio, playing arenas, whatever, you always have to start somewhere. It's not going to be like, oh, I've like worked so hard in my room for ages, or oh, I've practiced so hard playing guitar for ages. You're not just going to be given a load of money like that. You need to build like a massive fan base, get people in the industry to trust you, which is a huge thing, and there be opportunities there. Especially in radio, people don't move very quickly, so you literally just have to wait and just still love what you do.
So what are the other things then that you've done around the radio to bring in a bit more? Because we met when you were doing a DJ set. Yeah. So where are the other sort of avenues that you can get out there?
So DJ sets, for one. I luckily then got the job at Radio 1. So Radio 1 and Kerrang plus DJ sets means I could leave the call centre, which I had the best time of my life doing that. I can tell you that now. Even stuff like working with brands. There's a lot of kind of brands and like music companies as well that will do kind of, say, internships or like mentorships for people wanting to do what you do, or say give advice to bands, something like that. So you do those workshops as well, which I quite like the teaching aspect of it. I find it really rewarding. But people would probably be shocked at how much else you do, because you're still technically freelance at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And you freelance, you have to hustle and make your money while you can.
How did you get the job at Radio 1 then? How did that come about?
I applied to cover Dan at Christmas, because they do like a Christmas presenter search for 3 years in a row. Third year, got it, covered him. And I was like, right, okay, I'm going to take my show that I've done in my room and half of it, or a quarter of Dan's show, I want it to be that. I want to promote underground bands. So I did that. It went a bit mad on the internet, which I was just a bit like, oh my God, it was like Boxing Day. And I was just like in the corner of my room, just like rocking backwards and forwards thinking, oh my God, all these people are listening.
So was that recorded from your room?
No.
I mean, let's talk about that then a little bit, because with Kerrang you said you're doing it from your room. What's the setup that you actually use, and are they giving you the setup? Are they dictating it to you? Or
so I go into the studio now for Kerrang, because it got to a point where I was doing like 8 shows a week, and not leaving my room made me go really mental. Like so mental, you're like, oh my God, when am I actually going to wash? I have to force myself to like get dressed and brush my hair, because all I'm doing is chatting into a mic in the corner of my room. So for the first year of Kerrang, I did that, especially like through the pandemic and stuff. And that was just like, get me in a booth.
Is that just a mic and a laptop?
Literally, yeah. A mic into a laptop, done, into like the software. Or if their software was down, I'd just record straight into Audition, send it over, and the producers would just put it together.
Do you have to put much of it together after you've done that? Or is that just all producers?
Yeah, not really, not anymore, especially when you're on their programme, because you see the song coming up, talk, done, see you later. Yeah. Obviously, Radio 1 is a lot more intense than that. But yeah, with Kerrang, it's pretty much do your talking, press the button, there's the song, see you later. Which is great, because you can just be chill and just like talk about the music and stuff. But yeah,
was that the same when you went into the studio?
Yeah. Exactly the same. Exactly. It's really stripped back, because most of it is all pre-recorded. Because 1, it saves money, and 2, it's easier for the presenters. They can work it around their other jobs. But yeah, Radio 1 is full studio, scary setup. You definitely feel like there's loads of people listening and the pressure is on.
So what does the studio look and feel like then when you turn up?
It's like a spaceship.
Nice.
Is the best way I can explain it. It's just, I remember going in for the first time, and there was just, honestly, I felt like I'd been like kidnapped by like aliens or something. And I'm just stood there looking at this desk like, oh my God, I pretended that I knew what I was doing here, but I literally lied and I have absolutely no idea. I was like, can someone just tell me what buttons are? I was like, oh, what's that? And I was like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm an idiot, because I've literally lied and said that I knew how to use this software, and I absolutely don't. But I literally just went in like 3 hours before every show and just sat and looked at the desk and was like, right, okay, I can work this out. And I've still not been fired yet, so I think it was okay.
So you're comfortable now when you go in, you know what you're doing?
I love it, yeah.
You know what the buttons do?
All of them, yeah. I'm a proper nerd now, yeah. I'm like, yeah, go on then, test me.
So you do 2 shows there now?
Yeah.
How did the second one come about?
Indie show. I covered last year, there used to be Jack Saunders that was on it for the summer, because they'd done like a summer shift about. And I was like, are you sure? Like, you want to put me, like, I'm clearly a bit of a goth. Like, is this going to work? They're like, yeah, no, like, you'll be fine. And I did it and I really enjoyed it. It's all like mainly like audience interaction and like that. I really, really love that. I love connecting with people. And yeah, it went fine. And then end of last year, the head just called me and was like, yeah, do you want the show? And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, okay. He was like, you don't really sound very enthused. I was like, I'm literally half asleep in bed. I was like, yeah, sure. And I got off the phone and I was like, but yeah, it's mad. I think if I think about it a bit too much, I think I'll freak myself out. I've kind of just like got my head down and just like got on with all the shows, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool.
Does it feel like there's a lot of pressure taking over from Jack Saunders?
I mean, he's a great broadcaster. Yeah, I was shitting myself. I was absolutely shitting myself. I was just like, God, like he started the indie show as well. So he brought that to Radio 1. So being the first person to take over that was quite stressful. And I was like, everyone's going to hate me. Everyone's going to call me a goth and they're not going to like me. But yeah, people have really warmed. And I mean, since last year, I've nearly doubled the listening figures of the show, which is insane. And I never thought I'd say that.
I mean, that's quite a flex. Like,
it is, but I hate bragging about stuff that I've done. I hate it because I'm just like, I don't want to talk about myself. No one's going to want to hear about me. But yeah, I remember I literally cried on the Underground when my producer texted me. She was like, oh my God, I've never seen this in my life before, but you've nearly doubled the figures of the show. And I was like, I'm just crying. So yeah, I was sat on the Underground just crying my eyes out like a loser.
That's fucking awesome, man. How much of the songs are you picking then if you say they come up on the screen and you...
So introducing rock, I literally, the time that takes to plan each week is insane because I'll just go through every single song that any band has uploaded. And with the uploader as well, it's great because anyone can upload their music for free and you kind of get rid of the pluggers and that element, which is amazing. But there's like at any one time, like 15,000 songs to listen to. I am like constantly going through it. It's so intense. And then with indie, I just have a music meeting with that producer and we kind of pick where we want it to go. And then the ones from introducing rock that I want to push a bit more, I'll stick them on indie show as well.
With those introducing ones then, how much time a week are you spending listening to that? Because it's impossible to listen to 15,000 songs.
All day, every day, like constantly. Like you will refresh the uploader and there's another 100 bands uploading their music. Just rock and metal.
Are you listening to like 20 seconds or?
Yeah, so I'll start it and you can hear straight away sometimes if like the quality's not there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, no, next. Or this, it might not be the right genre for the show. And then I'll go, okay, cool. I'll have 10 more seconds, just pop to the middle of the song. Yes, sick. Great. And I kind of go through the song like that. So altogether, I'm probably listening to about 40 seconds of the song.
Does it not just become one big blurry mess and you can't tell what's good and what's bad?
Yeah, I go insane. It gets to a point where I'm just like, right, I need to just not listen to anything, go for a walk, have some food, maybe have a nap and start again. And it's honestly, it's insane. Like when I announced that the show was a thing and how you upload your music, we broke the uploader. Like the uploader broke over the weekend, which was not ideal for anyone else on BBC Producing. But I think it's great though, because it just shows like how many rock and metal bands are there and want to be heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry about that. The uploader person had to fix it over the weekend.
So is there not a separate one?
No, it's one big uploader and they tag what genre they are.
Right.
So you can tag like rock, metal, indie, and then all the rock, metal and indie ones, they'll come straight to me.
So what are the odds that even if it's a great song and you're going to like it, you actually hear it? Because you're never going to get to number 15,000. Like that's...
Slowly and steadily.
It's impossible.
Yeah. So my producer actually helps me now. She'll go through half of it. And if it's not, like, say, mixed and mastered well, she'll just put it away. Or if it's like a folk song, see you later.
Yeah.
So that has helped. But yeah, I genuinely do feel like we never get to the bottom of it. We're like, recently, it's been good because we kind of work from the front backwards. Right. And then we just skim. But there is no real organisation to the process. It is get your head down and let's listen to as many rock bands as we can within a certain amount of time and hope for the best.
It's really, really fortunate that you like the music.
I know. Can you imagine? I absolutely hate rock and metal band.
When you got that job then, did that change sort of everything with you financially and you're able to support yourself and that became a real thing?
Yeah. So I did Kerrang full time and I did Introducing Rock until the end of last year.
How come you left Kerrang?
I'm still on 1 day a week.
Oh, okay.
Friday nights. It's just insane. It ended up being like 8 shows. Yeah. And then if I covered, say, Jack or Down on Radio 1, that'd become like 8, 9, potentially 10 a week. And that's just absolutely ludicrous. Like for my brain to talk about music that much, it's like, God, I'm boring myself at that point. So I was like, okay, let's cut it down. And I still love Kerrang. I love the brand.
Yeah.
I love that it's so well known all over the world. So I still want to keep in there just for like my 14-year-old self that had loads of Kerrang magazines under the bed.
Yeah, I mean, it's the like coolest name in rock.
Oh, like 100%, 100%.
How long does it take then to pre-record one of those shows?
Introducing rock, the actual recording process, pretty much the same length for the show, like just over an hour.
Yeah.
And then we send, like, they're called tips, send bits of dialogue to the local stations. So I get to push like a rock band to all of the local introducing stations as well to listen to. So that takes like 10 minutes. It's an hour and 10 minutes. And then indie is always live. Always.
On the pre-recording, when you first started, was that taking longer because you were messing things up and cutting things out or doing retakes, or was it just always?
You know what? It was live that was scary for me, because pre-recorded, I'd done the show Alyx Plays Punk in my room, supporting all these punk bands for like 4 or 5 years. So that pre-recording aspect, I was like, yeah, cool, let's go. They're like, oh, you're live and you've got to do all the buttons because we think you can do them. And I'm like, yeah, that was scary. But the pre-recorded stuff was fine. But when you go into like a big studio and then there's other people looking at you, I'm not just under the duvet on my own. There's people looking at you going, okay, what's she saying? And I'm like, and you have to like talk obviously to a time as well. And when I did it in my room, I just edited it all down so it sounded like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I had to learn everything on the spot, basically.
How long did it take for you to become comfortable with that?
What, the pre-recording stuff?
No, the live.
I think quite quickly, because you have to throw yourself into it.
Yeah.
And you can't be like, oh, I'm going to do that again. Or if you say something, you have to get yourself out of it. A few months probably. And I was really comfortable. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I've just got to talk between songs. It's fine. It's not life and death. I might lose my job, but I'm not going to die over it, so it's fine.
Perspective.
Yeah.
That's so shit.
I have to, honestly. Otherwise, I'll just go insane.
Has that sort of changed the other aspects of what you were talking about with your DJ sets and you doing the mentoring or whatever you call it? Have you got more of that or less of that because you're too busy with the radio? Or
it comes in waves, really. There's really no, like, kind of how much other work I get in a month. It's literally just as and when. Like, festival season, DJ sets, great. Yeah. Some people as well, I mean, with that, they don't reach out because they're like, oh, you've got 2 jobs on Radio 1 now, you must be minted or your fee's going to be really high. So they don't reach out. And then I'm having conversations with them in festivals. They're like, oh, she would DJ. And I'm like, yeah, of course I would. Why would I not? And they're like, oh, we just didn't think you'd be interested because you've like doing this, that and the other. And I'm just like, no, I'm always, if it's to do with rock and metal music, I'm always up for it. Like, it's all good. Yeah.
How many festivals are you involved with and doing then as part of Radio 1?
So Radio 1 is now at Download, which is awesome. They do Reading and Leeds as well. They're really the only kind of rocky ones. They've got a load of different bits. But where they're now linked with Reading and Leeds and Glasgow, I can put some of the small rock and metal bands on Intro Rock, put them forward to me on the stages. So that kind of affiliation that they have is amazing because then I can help bands. I feel like, you know, the mum in Mean Girls? And she's like, oh my God, you're doing great, honey. And she's like there with her camera. I feel like that's me with bands. And I'm like so insufferable. I just don't stop going on about them to Radio 1. But we've seen quite a few of them get on the Reading lineup this year, which is amazing.
That's really cool. Which ones?
Xylabon, South Arcade. There's a few more off the top of my head. I can't remember. Black Era did, I think, Reading and Leeds last year, maybe. They headlined, which was amazing. Car, there's about 6 or 7 of them.
Are there any bands that you feel like you sort of discovered through the process that are now doing really good that people would recognise?
Yeah, but I hate name dropping.
Name drop, come on. Take some credit.
It's so hard when you finally think. I think definitely the stuff to do with like the stages, and also, I mean, have you heard of Tropic Gold? Yeah, I was their like #1 fangirl from Alyx Plays Punk. And yeah, I've got them on to Dan's show, Jack's show, and my show. They played their first festival, 2000 Trees, a few weeks ago as well, which is amazing. But they're like one of my, I'm very proud. I feel like I've nurtured them. So I feel like, proud mum when it comes to those guys.
How important do you think radio still is in breaking a band?
I think it all depends about kind of trusting the person. I think it doesn't matter what platform you discover new bands on. If you trust that person, you're going to go to that platform for their advice or their recommendations. That's the only thing that matters, really. I think for me, like, I still get so excited. I remember when I was younger and the DJ used to give me a shout out and I used to text in when like Bring Me were having a new record on, and like Dan or like Annie Mac would read out my text, and I thought that was like the coolest, most like powerful thing in the entire world, because it's that like connection element, which is insane. So it's kind of what I try and do now. I try not to waffle too much. I just try and be like a friend for someone. And the amount of texts that we get in, it's just people kind of on their own, just wanting to listen to someone who they think's their mate talking about new bands that they might like, that they can then spend their week researching. For me, if there's just one person that listens and gets kind of comfort out of me chatting waffle between songs, I'm like, I've done my job. Like, that's important.
What would a normal day look like when you turn up to download? what's like the start to finish process?
Exhaustion. So I wake up, probably hungover, get some food, or I will be the worst person to work with.
I get hangry, man.
Oh man, honestly, I don't care. Like, I saw this year all that, like, some of the vendors with the food poisoning. I would have a dodgy bit of chicken if it meant I could eat. Like, anything to set me up for the day. And then I'd normally probably go to the studio. We do like 3-hour shows. Do the show at Download. Go out, get some interviews for the show the next day. Then probably go to the bar, have a drink. Then watch a few bands. Then probably do a DJ set or a podcast. I did the Sapling podcast this year. So it's just basically just timing things right. Yeah. I am still running around in the mud trying to get to places.
With the interviews then, who's booking those? How do they come about?
The producers on Radio 1, normally, or I'll reach out to the band and say who should they be put in touch with, and then I'll just throw them an email address. Yeah, which was great. Harper was my favourite one this year. Very chaotic 12-year-old. It's just the best person to interview. She's hilarious.
If there's a band and they've made it onto the playlist and they're on like the C list, how do they move up?
How big of a band are we talking?
Just in general.
It's all to do with the playlist team. So it's about making them realise kind of the importance of rock, and also, I guess, making sure it's palatable for daytime listeners, because at the end of the day, Radio 1 is like a pop and dance station, right? So do what Bring Me did and create like a really accessible record, which I think is amazing. A lot of people are like, oh, they're selling out. No, they're not. They're playing the game exactly right, and they're like one of the biggest bands in the entire world at the minute, right?
Yeah.
It's basically, if you're on the C list and you're a band like that, you need a really good plugger to go in and fight for you. If you're a rock band trying to get onto a pop station, is the only way. Because one of the bands, say, I would push, it's very rare they get on like a C list. They'll just be part of like the specialist lot.
Yeah.
But it would be a band that would be really big, probably on the C list. So you need people around you just to absolutely go to bat for you in those meetings.
And the plugger's they're the most important person in that?
Most likely, yeah, because they'll just have a direct connection with the producers on the show or the music team.
Yeah. So if you are a band and you're looking for that placement, then the plugger still is a massive component. Yeah.
Get a plugger that actually likes your band. Like, that actually likes, say if you're a rock band, get yourself a plugger that is a fan of you before they work with you, because they'll go into that room and they'll fight for you even harder than this is just my job. It's a yes or a no, whatever. If they're like, oh my God, I love this band because you should play this band because, and not take no for an answer, brilliant, 10 out of 10.
I think that sort of translates across all the sort of aspects of the team that a band needs, because there's a lot of managers or labels that you can see sign something because it looks like the right thing to sign at the time. But if they don't absolutely love it, and I think you can tell when somebody like really genuinely is passionate about it, and the way that they're going to sell it in all aspects is going to be so much more powerful.
Absolutely. And there's so many people that want to work with bands that can't work with bands, like that just want it for the wrong thing, want it for the money, want it for the flex on Instagram to put in their bio that they work with this band. And you will come across that. I've come across it with people that I've worked with, and you just have to use your brain and wean them out. And it's fine to get rid of people if they're not giving you what you want as a band or as an artist. Get rid of them. It's not the end of the world, and just move on.
Yeah, definitely. You need the team to be arranged to be the right ones.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
Fire them if they're not.
For sure.
Oh, you just mentioned Instagram. How important is it for you in your sort of career to have like an online presence and to be promoting yourself on socials?
You have to do it all the time. Honestly, if I didn't do the job I was doing, I'd throw my phone off a cliff and delete all my apps on the way down. Like, see you later. I want absolutely nothing to do with it because it just consumes your life. Like, if you're a person of the internet, you have to be up to date. Everyone must know what you're doing. You have to post 3 times a week on Instagram and every single day on TikTok. And that's a full-time job in itself. But then it's like social media is how everyone finds out about everything. So if you're not on that, then you're not promoting yourself. So it's just a circle of shit, really.
Circle of shit. Is that something that Radio 1 dictates and says that you have to be hitting certain targets in terms of posting or anything?
Nothing, no.
That's just like, you know what you need to do, get on with it.
Yeah, especially like you hear from kind of managers and agents and stuff. You need to be on TikTok more. So there I am now on TikTok every single day. But I'm just like, if I'm on TikTok, I want to make it useful, right? I want to make it valuable. So the stuff I post on TikTok is about helping new bands and giving them tips and stuff that they can do. Because I don't want to stand there and clap and show you another outfit, because essentially I wear the same thing every day anyway. So that's not going to be very interesting content for anyone.
That's one of the hardest things for us with the club, is we need to be posted on there. And it's just so fucking boring.
Yeah, you're doing well though. Your TikTok's banging.
Yeah, we've done quite well with it, and we've got a couple in the office that are just great. Like, they also actually have no interest at all.
Really?
But they just, for whatever reason, are really good at...
No, it's great. 10 out of 10.
There's, generally speaking, like sort of 50% of the content comes from me, and we've got a manager called Liam, and we'll just give... Most of it's done by those 2 girls, Lauren and Lucy.
Yeah.
So like sometimes we'll be like, these are the specific things you need to go and do them.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we'll just be like, these 5 events are happening, think of something. And they do that as well, but neither of them have any personal interest at all in the platform, but they just, they're great.
If they want to do mine, let them have it from my login. And just deal with it for me, because I can't stand it.
Lauren, so there's a girl, if anyone's watching, she's got red hair. And we've got a video with her, and she literally, she walks out of her room, turns around and walks back into it. And she's really embarrassed by the walk. Like, it was a one take thing. She didn't post it for like 6 weeks because she was like, that's crap. And we've posted it now about 12 times, and every time it just takes off. Like, there's a couple of times it's had millions of views, a couple of times it's in the hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
And whenever we can't be asked with something, or she's not in the office because she doesn't like the video, and they just put a different song on it and post it again, every single time it takes off.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I used to do that then, just walk in and out of the door and be like, let it fly.
Do you ever think you'll be taking over from Daniel P. Carter?
Wow, what a question. When he does leave, yeah, of course, I'd love to do that. That would be like, I remember listening to the rock show on my little purple stereo in my room when I was like 13. Like, I'd absolutely love to do that if he decides to leave. It's not something I'd be like, Dan, go away, I want to do that. Like, I love that man and respect that man so much. He's an absolute icon. And the fact he has kept that afloat for 15, 16 years now is absolutely iconic. Like, I'd be a lot more scared about taking over the rock show because, oh my gosh, like, what that man has done for rock music is just insane. Like, the amount of bands that love and respect him and presenters that love and respect him as well. Like, yeah, that's a terrifying job. That's a terrifying job. I mean, covering it is fun so I can hand it back. But yeah, having all that weight on my shoulders, I'd be like, that is a lot. But yeah, I don't want him to leave. So I hope that doesn't happen, because that means he'd leave. And I love listening to him. I'm still like as big of a fan now as I was when I was a kid listening. Yeah, I remember really scared meeting him for the first time. I was like, oh my God, what if he hates me? What if he hates me? What if he thinks I'm weird? What if he thinks I'm a poser? We get on, we're fine. But yeah, no, I do love him very much. He's iconic.
Assuming he stays in this position, then what are your sort of career aspirations, and where do you think it'll grow over the years?
I just want rock and metal bands to be in places where sometimes they're not, because a lot of it is really accessible. If you put the label like rock or metal on something, people are like, oh no, it's so scary, it's horrible, the devil's here, blah, blah, blah. I kind of just want it to be more accessible to people, and people to understands it a bit more, and we're not all scary devils that run around and like bark at pigeons and stuff. Like, people that like rock and metal are really cool and are probably the nicest people you'll meet, right? So if we can kind of give that to other people so they understand the culture a little bit more, and then they realise that, oh wow, there's so many cool bands that I would have never have heard of because I put rock and metal in a box. I'm like, yeah, I've done my job, cool. So just making that bigger, basically.
That's a huge thing, actually, with us with the club, when we're trying to work out branding and sort of what to do with the marketing, because probably 50% of the room is like a proper rock and metal fan.
Yeah.
The other 50% are just people that aren't offended by the music, but love the atmosphere and the environment.
Yeah.
But obviously they're the hardest ones to drag in, because if we look like a dirty metal club, then they don't want to turn up. Once they do turn up, they realise that actually it's like a really cool vibe, and
yeah,
the people aren't scary, and there is no fucking pig's blood. So like, but once they see that, all these like normies are like, this is cool as fuck. And when we play Paramore and Avril Lavigne and Fall Out Boy, they can come in and dance, and they love it.
Of course, we're not just sat there just playing black metal for a laugh on a loop for 6 hours. Like, we do like to have fun and dance and mosh and like get pissed like everyone else does. But I think like, yeah, the words rock and metal, even alternative to some people, which is like a dirty word. Yeah. And I'm like, why? I don't get it. Like, I don't want to go for pumpkin spice lattes and like do the girly live, laugh, love shit.
I do like pumpkin spice latte.
Oh, I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I just think it tastes like, you know, like those big candles you get. It feels like eating a fucking wax candle. Is it just me?
That's not what I thought you were going to compare it to.
Every time I smell a pumpkin spice latte, I'm like, I literally just envision like gnawing on a massive candle, which is why I don't like that.
Anyone that listens to this is going to be put off them there.
Yeah, sorry about that.
If somebody wanted to get into radio and to sort of follow in your footsteps, what would you say to them as advice for starting?
Do it yourself. 100% do it yourself. It's really important to get into studios and look. Like, a lot of people will DM me and say, oh, can I come and shadow you in the studio? I'm like, yeah, the more the merrier. Like, so I wish I had that, because then going into the studio for the first time would not have been as terrifying. But there's so many platforms available now for you to just upload stuff that you make to. Just get a cheap shitty Argos mic. I used to plug it into my iPad and then drive around to my friends who had better Wi-Fi than mine every week to upload a show. Where there's a will, there's a way. Honestly, like, just start and listen to radio as well. Listen to people that inspire you. Don't rip them off. Just see how they present and how their show's put together. And that will help you a lot when you're kind of creating your own thing.
Is following a format really important?
Yeah, for structure purposes, for the listener, if you want them to listen for longer, yeah. Otherwise, you kind of turn into a podcast a little bit. It has to be like whatever you want to say, no no ums, stick to one point. Like, literally stick to one point, know what your main point is going to be, and then move on to the next thing. Because otherwise, you waffle for minutes and minutes and minutes, and it's not good for anyone.
Is training yourself to not say
Yeah. Or swear.
I swear constantly.
Me too. Me too. And I'm just, the first time I'm just like, oh my gosh. I literally wrote down in front of me, don't say fuck, and just like put that in bold and underline. And I was looking at it, I was like, now I just want to say fuck, so I had to get rid of it.
What would have happened with Radio 1 or Kerrang if you had?
I don't actually know the process. I just know it would be very bad.
So you've never had a slip-up?
No.
Is it
not
worth
yet.
having one just to test the water?
Yeah, you have to apologise. So say if there's like a swear in a song or you swear, you have to be like, oh, I'm very sorry, blah, 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 and then move on, and then you'll probably be spoken about it too. So, but luckily that's not happened yet, touch wood. Watch me next week, I'm going to text you and be like, oh, I've really fucked up here. This is really bad.
With doing your own then and just getting in and starting, have you got any advice on like what platform to use or what software to record to? Like,
I used Mixcloud to upload my stuff with. Now if I need to do anything, we'll use Audition. But I did use Audacity, like a really old version of Audacity, which you can literally download for free. Just literally Google free Audacity download, and you can do it and just watch YouTube tutorials on how to use it, because I had no clue. Yeah. Absolutely no clue. But YouTube is a wonderful thing. You can literally find anything out there. So I used to spend hours and hours figuring out how to make stuff on Audacity and Audition because it was literally alien. But I'd say Audition if anyone's watching and wants to do that, because it's a lot better than Audacity.
That's literally how I started doing this. Oh, really? So like in lockdown, because I'd never even seen a podcast or heard one. And then I saw one and was like, I've got nothing else to do. That sounds fun. Yeah. And I just sat and watched videos and like, what mic to podcast with, what camera to podcast with.
Yeah.
And then as I was trying to put the videos together, like the videos never actually went out. They were just me like practicing.
Yeah.
So like learn the software. And then as soon as I had a problem that I didn't know how to fix, that was when I could just Google it and it would be Audition or Audacity that it was saying to use.
Yeah. Just do it. Because I just wish that I'd have done it like a few years earlier as well. Because I was always like, oh, I don't know, I could do this thing. I always had this idea in my head. Just start. Like the first few things you're going to make is going to be shit. And it's just having your ego just deflate a bit and realise that that's okay. Because even in my first like Kerrang shows, I bet they're fucking dire. But it's fine because if you don't like your work that you've done, if you look back a few months before and don't like the work that you've done, it means you're getting better. So actually, if you listen to something and think, oh my God, that was shit, wasn't it? It means you're actually smashing it. Yeah,
that's good. How do you think that it can grow then for you with being in radio? Will it be things like syndication that you'd be looking for, or getting it played in other countries? Like, is there any sort of grand ideas of where you want it to go?
That's a great idea. I've not got a clue. Honestly, people go, what do you want to do next? And I'm like, great question. I literally don't know. I think if I can be doing other things in music and promoting small bands, great. But then obviously you've got to be careful for the other companies you work with if they don't clash, like things like other streaming services. I'd have to run it past work and be like, hey, can I do this? So that aspect is quite different. So I'll probably just do something on my own.
Would there be more likely to have syndication with Kerrang than Radio 1 just because of Kerrang being more sort of scrappy?
I don't think so. Like, it's on a new platform at the minute called Rayo, which has got like different playlists and bits like that in, and you can listen to it all over the world as far as I'm aware. But I don't think they'd like try and get anyone else to stream it. It would always have to be on Kerrang Radio, unless they're looking at something that I don't know about. But
if it was me, just throwing it out there, I'd pick places that I want to go on holiday, and then I'd try and like pitch their local stations, being like, syndicate this. And then eventually they'd have to bring you over. I'd be like looking for a rock show in Fiji, whatever the place is.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the Maldives needs a rock station.
Exactly. So get it syndicated for 9 months and then go over and do the live one.
I might just be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast. I want to talk to myself about music you should listen to and why in the most beautiful destinations. I can sit on the beach with my little Argos mic. I'll get that back out again. And then just, chill on the beach, having cocktails. Chatting complete shite. That's a great idea.
Way forward, man.
Yeah, thanks. I'll take that away. I'll let you know how to get on.
Is there anything before we wrap up that you want to talk about, or anyone you want to mention? Bands?
And every time people do this, like, what bands do you like? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like picking children. The only thing I would say is before the show started introducing rock, a lot of rock and metal bands were kind of pissed off that they weren't getting picked up by introducing, obviously, because it is an acquired taste. And a lot of them kind of still think, oh, it's only for indie music and folk music, and oh, we can't go super heavy. There's like disgusting minging metal on my show that is honestly like, just sounds like someone drawing blood from like Christ or something. And it still gets played out. So it's like, just because you're a metal band and you're heavy and you've had bad experiences with it before and not been picked up, still go for it. Don't give up. If you give up at anything, it's definitely not going to happen. So I don't care how disgusting the metal is, I still want to hear it. And also make sure there's a radio edit, because that does my fucking head in. Please make sure it's a radio edit so I can actually play it.
Do you want to just explain what a radio edit is?
I'm posting about it on TikTok later, actually.
Nice.
No swears, no references to sex, guns, knives, drugs. A lot of people think it's just swearing. If you're talking about stabbing the hell out of someone, also can't play that. A lot of people think, oh, the radio producer will make the radio edit for me. I can tell you now they don't have the time to do that. So just make sure anything you think is this acceptable to play out on the BBC? Maybe not. Just mute it, get rid of it, and you'll have a better chance of being played, for sure.
Does that translate across different shows as well? Or so like with Kerrang, is that just as strict, and does it have exactly the same rules?
Yeah. So no swearing at all. It's just like a broadcast rule. I just think if you're uploading your music to a radio station, just take it out. Because if they notice that it's a radio edit, you can even put in your email, hi, I've got a radio edit and I've got another edit that's a bit more violent, potentially. And just include all of them there. But if you're uploading to the BBC, please, God, make sure the bad shit's out. I beg, please.
How much of the songs that you listen to still have the bad shit?
The limit doesn't exist. The limit doesn't exist, yeah. Or they think, she'll say if she wants to play it and then we'll send her a radio edit. We don't have time. We literally don't have time to do that. Even if you really, really want to upload both, please just go ahead and upload the radio edit and just tell me there's a radio edit somewhere so I can find it. And especially, obviously, it's screamy as well, right? Metal. So now we've got to go through the lyrics and then pick out the bad words. And then the poor producer who doesn't really listen to rock and metal music has to then try and decipher that and then mute it. It just takes hours. So I can't do that. Can't do it.
I love that it's like there's words that we can't say. They're in there. Yeah. Don't know what they are because...
Scream them violently enough, she might not hear them. No, we have to have the lyrics, I'm afraid.
Awesome. I think that's everything then for today. Thank you for coming on talking.
Thanks for having me.
It's been really good. Thank you to everyone that's listened. If you want to watch us, we're available on YouTube. Please rate and review anywhere you get your podcasts.